What is up, party people? Happy Tuesday. It is 11/29/2022, and I just went and got a haircut today. If you can see, the recession is now in. I've got power alleys, as my buddy Jeremiah Tacker likes to call them. So if you guys have any recommendations on hair regrowth, and I don't mean some bullshit chemical that or magical shampoo that you rub in and overnight it comes back. No, a lot of it is because my hormones are all effed up. And yeah, but enough about the recession and not the financial one coming. But guys, what I really want to talk about today is our fatherless generation and things you can do to make sure your kids and you have the best future life possible. So, I grew up bouncing around stepdaddies. I had a lot of stepdaddies growing up. And I was really close with one, the one that I poured concrete with. He was by far one of the best father figures I had growing up. And when I say that, I mean I was just close with him, and I felt like I was getting love or affection from him. So even though I was not his real son, biological son, he treated me as if so, and I enjoyed that. But I did not meet my biological father until my fifth birthday. He met me on my fifth birthday. I still remember he was in a camo jacket, blue jeans, and a white t-shirt, and his boots. It's all he ever wore for the entire time I've known him. I have not seen my biological father since I was 16, 15, 16 years old. So, I mean, 10 years now without seeing my real dad. Have not talked to him in years. Last conversation we had was I tried calling him and he asked, "Who is this?" So I just hung the hell up. I'm not going to tolerate that. That's not the type of relationship I want in there. Could I have handled it differently? Absolutely. But I was a hurt kid. There's a lot of things between me and my real dad that I do wish were resolved, and maybe over time they will be. But as of right now, this season of my life, they're just going to stay the way they are. But I want to touch on just my life and things I have seen from other people in similar situations, because I'm betting at least more than 50% of insurance agents have experienced something like this. So when I say we live in mainly a fatherless generation, I mean like half the relation, like 90% of the relationships I see end in kids these days. All the people that I went to school with now are have multiple kids, have one kid, or they're in the process of having a kid, and they're 7 months showing, and they have their stomach. I'm extremely happy for you. I think kids are a blessing, but like it's sad to see that the father's not a part of it because there's no covenant, there's no like marriage or any type of like actual commitment, regardless of what the hell the piece of paper says from court that you guys got married. Like most of the marriages out there are a sham. Like, well, let's just get married because we have kids. Let's just get married because we're in business together. Let's just get married because I like cuddling you and I don't know how to be alone by myself. And I'd rather be in a marriage with someone that I really don't have much knowledge about, chemistry with, whatever you want to call it. And I think people misconstrue that. I think people misconstrue the word love. And just to give you kind of my own interpretation of love, like I think it's willing to sacrifice for that feeling. Like the willingness to sacrifice for that feeling, for that person, for that thing. Like you can have a love for video games. You can have a love for pornography. You can have a love for a lot of things. That's your crutch that you lean on when things get bad. That like you're willing to sacrifice family time to go lock yourself in a bathroom to watch videos that you know you should not be watching. And there's so many things that we're tied to that we lean on as a crutch that we think are love. And I've settled a lot in my life for the illusion of love. I've been in a lot of dirty, what I would consider dirty or not positive relationships. And as embarrassing as to say, like I don't find it embarrassing anymore, but it just is. And there's no, I'm not going to choose to cry over spoiled milk. I've already made the fuck ups. Like I've already made the mistakes. and I didn't learn from it for a long time. Like it took me until I was 23, 24 to really get conscious about what I was doing with women. And I was a very manipulative person. I was a very, very manipulative person. And that might come off as controlling or wrong to some people, but it's just what I knew how to do. It's just what it was, just what came natural to me. I wanted to get my way, and I didn't care about how anyone else felt, thought, or what they wanted to do. It was my way or the highway. And so over time, like, I think what you practice is what you master. Like, I just got really good at manipulating through saying different things. I found different ways to get the same result with less effort. And that's something I would consider mental abuse or taking advantage of. Like, I'm not happy to say that shit. Like, I'm not happy to say that shit at all. But a lot of this stems from my childhood because I felt like I did not get love. Like when I was in my cradle, like I think I developed all these coping mechanisms. This is just my assumption. I could be totally wrong and I could just have been a piece of shit human for the first quarter of my life. People will interpret it differently. But I think I just dealt with coping mechanisms based on what I saw other people doing. Like, I didn't have a dad that I could go ask for girl advice. Like, over time, I was taught girls had cooties, and then I learned from someone else in my family, like, just have sex with as many as you can. Go be with as many women as you can. And I thought that was cool. Like, I thought that was what was normal. And I'm not trying to, well, that is me trying to defend that belief at that period of my life. That is the pattern that I took part in. And I can tell, like, that's something that I held to be true that was not. It was a belief that did not serve me well at all. Because I cannot even go to a superstore without seeing someone that I've been with. I cannot add a lot of people on Facebook because they have heard things about me. I lose a lot of business around here locally from insurance agents because of things that have been said about me and things that I have done in my past. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the consequences. You get what you tolerate, right? I tolerated being a shitty human. That is just part of it. And I'm sorry if there is a delay on the audio. For some reason, this streaming software, OBS, is not being my best friend. So it's probably like half a second behind. But some of you might not even notice. But I pay attention to that stuff. But back on the point, I personally believe that a lot of this stems from my childhood and that I did not get love. And over time, I learned to love myself. And I would say this journey started when I was 22, 23. And I was just fucking fed up with my life. I hated my life. I did not want to be here anymore. I did not want to be on this earth. I thought it was better off without Mason Van Meter running around. And I've come to accept that, like, I'm not my behaviors anymore. I'm not the lies that I tell myself anymore. I was just believing the lies that I told myself. And it's just come to the point where they're no longer true. I am no longer that person. I'm no longer identifying with those types of behaviors. Like, I just made shitty decisions. I chose to make decisions that people with a negative mentality, a negative model of the world would make. Because I thought that was what was normal, what was cool, what was popular, what was required to fit in. I wanted to fit in so bad in school, in high school. I wanted to have the hottest girlfriend. I wanted to have all this stuff, the nicest car. And I bought my first car for $500 to I had to duct tape the window because the window regulator was out. I grew up working on all of my own shit all the time. I never had nothing reliable, whether that be vehicle, relationships. And it's weird. It's like these patterns carried over everywhere. These patterns carried over everywhere. Because I didn't have consistent love and it wasn't normal. Like, my mom was always working multiple jobs. I had to stay home and watch the kids or stay with other people in my family, stay with my grandmother who got messed up at work and she got hooked on pills real bad. I was around alcohol fucking constantly. I was around alcohol constantly, and that was what was normal to me. And when I finally started seeing like, holy shit, like there are people out here making millions of dollars that actually have decent, like great marriages. They have great marriages and they treat each other totally different. Like they limit themselves to 2 glasses of wine. They limit themselves to 2 alcoholic beverages. Like they have discipline. Like how do I get this? Like there were nights I stayed up crying myself to fucking sleep because I hated my life that bad because I did not know how to get there. Like I did not know how to get to the consistent relationships. I did not know how to get a reliable vehicle. I didn't know how to get a reliable income. I didn't know how to get that reliable belief and love in myself. Like I was always searching externally for something because it's just what I grew up in. That's what I grew up in. Like my mom's been married 4 times. There's nothing bad or good about that. It just is. But I mean, I've learned a lot from what she's done. And she was just doing the best with what she had. I understand that. I love my mom to death. I'm not very close with her. And that's my decision. That's my decision. Do I regret it sometimes? 100 fucking percent. I regret not being close with a lot of my family members. But I choose to distance myself because I want something different than what they have. And if I want to live a different life, then I must have different views. I must do things differently. I'm not rushing to get married anymore. I was months away from getting married to a girl that I was in love with. And then I blamed her for all kinds of shit. You broke your promise. You said you'd be with me for like I pulled the manipulation card because that's how I always dealt with problems. Manipulate. Say things. Say what I think she wants. Say what I know she wants to hear. Get my way no matter the cost. And like, while I've worked on myself for the last 2 or 3 years consistently, I've spent a lot of fucking money on coaching masterminds, like all these things in the back, like that's what I take pride in. That's what I take fucking pride in, knowing I did that. I'm finding my self-love through finding myself and learning new things and progressing. But I like, where did all this desire come from to feel that way? And that's just my assumption again. Like I did not get the love that I felt like I needed as a kid. So I grew up chasing it externally because that's what I saw my parents, my friends, my family doing. Find someone who makes you happy. One of the biggest lies I've ever been fucking told. If you can't make yourself happy, no one will. If you don't respect yourself, no one will. If you can't sell yourself, you can't sell anyone else. The hardest person it is to earn the respect from is yourself. Most of us just deem ourselves as not worthy, or I'm not enough. Well, I can tell you 100% without a fucking doubt that I am enough. This is something I did not believe for the first 23 years of my life. And like, imagine being 50, 75, and just now fucking hearing this. Because these people grew up in totally different generations. These people grew up in totally different generations, and the narrative has shifted so fucking much over the last couple decades. Like, it's a completely different world. It is a completely different world. And for all the people who say, like, I was born in the wrong generation. I wanted to be around back in the knights. Like, when there was a princes and kings. Like, no, you didn't. You'd have got your fucking head chopped off. Or you got your hand, like, you'd have got raped in the streets. That's just how life was back then. So, like, accept the fact that you were born now. And live in the now and accept things as they are. Because you cannot change them. You cannot change them. You can do things differently. You can move. You can go to different places. But like, your problems will follow you wherever you go. If you always deal with problems by resorting to drinking or smoking weed because it helped you in one season of your life, like, I can promise you it will not carry you for the rest of them. Now, like, I've done psychedelics. I've smoked weed. I enjoy it. They've helped me tremendously. But I do not use those as a fucking crutch. I do not like, I quit drinking alcohol this June 7th. It'll be 5 years since I've had any alcohol in my system. Now, most people are like, oh, I'm so proud of you. Were you addicted? Like, yeah, I was a piece of shit too. I'd get in fights. I'd break people's jaws. I should have went to fucking jail. Like, I could not deal with the pain or the guilty conscience of knowing that because I chose to drink and drive, I killed someone's fucking family just because I was trying to deal with insecurities from a breakup. Like, do you hear how fucking stupid that sounds? Like, when I realized that the lies that I was telling myself just sounded fucking idiotic and hypocritical from the life that I wanted to live. So I was like, what would Mason the billionaire do? What would Mason, the dude who loves himself, do? These are the types of questions that I had to start asking myself, even though I grew up without a real, like, that father connection, that father-son connection. And my mother was always working for the first half of my life. Like, I did not have consistent relationships. It was always alcohol, you fucking idiot, go do this or you're fucking grounded. Like, this is just what I thought was normal. It was always punish or reward, punish or reward. I punished you too much, so now I'm going to reward you because I feel bad. Like, and now you see why I was the way I am in my relationships. It was manipulation. Oh, I know I hurt you with these words, so let me try to make it better. Isn't it weird how these things from childhood just fucking carry with us? Like, it's so powerful. These programs and these patterns have been running the show, have been driving the bus up here for so long. Most humans never think. Most humans will never think, actually sit down and think, because it is too uncomfortable for their whole life. Until they get about 60, 70 and start to realize that they don't give a fuck. And that's when life starts getting good for them. They let the fucking white whiskers grow out of their ears. Their hair gets all nappy and long like it. What happens to them old people? They start drinking like 3 Dr. Peppers a day and just saying fuck this and fuck that. Like, they don't care anymore. They've been dead for the first 75 years of their life because they forgot how to live. And they did not find it again until they stopped caring about what other people think and started caring more about how they think and feel about themselves. And so I can only wish the best for most of you out there right now growing up without a dad, growing up without a mom, and not getting the love you needed as a child. And so the question I would like to ask to you parents is, what is the example? What are the seeds that you are planting for your kids? Are you giving them the love they need? I think that is probably the best thing you can fucking do for them, is just make them feel loved. Seriously. Just make them feel loved. It will set them up for the fucking long run. It will give them the stamina, the endurance, the emotional intelligence to deal with things when they come up, when they get more mature, and they stop using and sucking on a pacifier for everything and leaning on crutches and dealing with things the way you do. Like, just give your kids fucking love. Give them the world. Give them your world. Tell them that they are enough. Tell them that they're going to do great things. Like, give them that belief and exposure to a different fucking lifestyle than what you had. Make them critical thinkers. Give them the ability to solve fucking problems and not just hand them everything. What's that whole generational thing? Like, hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times. Like, it's so fucking true. There is so much weight behind that phrase, that saying. But most of you just want to get on here and talk to your 3 viewers about cute talking points that did not change you and you expected to change other people. And when you're not getting monetized or getting 1 million subscribers, you feel depressed. You feel not worthy because you don't know how to deal with shit. Now imagine how your kid's going to feel when they grow older. I'm just saying, I'm trying to give to you what I wish I had. And based on what I've seen from most of the people I grew up with, who grew up without parents, like, it's the exact same. It is the exact same. And the scary part is when You're friends with people in one season of your life who know you resort to things by smoking weed or going out like that, and they pressure you into doing those things again. Why? Because that's just how they think you deal with things. You've got to start pushing these people, these relationships, these objects, these patterns, these programs aside. Because what served you, what gave you leverage in one area of your life, what solved problems in one area of your life, will not be the same thing that gives you leverage, solve problems, give you clarity, give you emotional intelligence, and help you break through that glass ceiling where you are right now in your life. It's no different than you being in a baby cradle. It's just immaturity, is what it is. And control kills correction. Control kills correction. I'll say that one more time. If you write down anything, tattoo it on your body. Control kills correction. Control kills correction. By you feeling you need to be in control of everything, you have to handle everything, you're giving up the ability to be corrected, to get feedback, to get coached, to get advice. You'll ask for advice, but because you know everything, you're God's gift to insurance, you're God's gift to sales, you already know what you're doing, you can't be corrected. The worst thing you could do is ask for advice and then not take it, especially when you pay for it. Like, this is what I mean when I say most of you are not dealing with your own problems. You're dealing with problems that your parents and grandparents never solved and they gave you. Now imagine what happens when you pass those to your kids, to your offspring, to your future. Like, well, I've been investing in courses and masterminds. Like, okay, but what's your problem solving skills? How do you deal with problems? Has it ever changed, or do you always go back to that weed pen? Do you always go back to the pornography? Do you always go back to who's available at 2 a.m. when you need cuddles? Nothing good happens after 2 a.m. I'm a fucking dude, I know. I'm a dude, I know. I know what you're doing. So, like, what served you in one area of your life will not continue to serve you in different areas of your life. What got you to level 1 will not get you to level 2, and the same for 3. So, do what you will with this. If you found this valuable, I'd love to hear your feedback on this in the comments. And I truly hope this helps somebody, because one day Mason Van Meter will no longer be here, but the videos he made will, and the books he wrote will, and that is pretty much the only thing that will ever be out there. And so whether you're watching this tomorrow on 11/30 of 2022, or you're watching this on 11/30 of 2082, like, just know this is a 25-year-old kid trying to live life to its fullest and help other people do the fucking same. So, without further ado, leave a comment, like, all that fancy jazz, or a dislike still helps the channel. Just don't be one of those ghosts who just come here and stalk. Still helps the view time. But I love you all. Keep being awesome. Happy hustling, and I'll see you guys on the next video.